So yeah, let's transition to the Wild, dude. First of all, specifically with a not weird Wild, I love that Bill Guerin's now taking part in the content. Like, I think it's very funny.
He's done it several times before.
True, but I feel like it's few and far between. I've seen him in a couple already. I'm like, I don't. He could sign everyone to a 4x4. I don't give a fuck. I love Bill Guerin, and I always will. He rocks. Like, he is just forever 20 years old. Like, he is permanently 20, just like one of the guys. He is just ridiculous. I just think he's funny. So I love him. I don't give a fuck.
No, he is not forever 20 years old. He is forever a college hockey player, but he is that like 27-year-old that's still just hanging out with all the like 20-year-olds. Like, that's a way better analogy for him, because he is still like the big, like, oh, I'm going to get in your face guy. But he's like, no, we're all the same age, right? Like no, we're not.
He's Bill Guerin year one in Pittsburgh forever. Like, he is always the year one of Pittsburgh Penguin Bill Guerin. That is him literally forever. Like, he's never gonna change. I love him. But 3 games in, Minnesota Wild, they look fine. They look good. Like,
they've lost 2 of their 3 games, Z.
In overtime, yeah. Well, 1 in overtime, 1 in a shootout. Now the Seattle loss was super annoying because you can't just continue to give up the lead every time you take a lead. But before we do any like deep dive on anything with Minnesota, I have been watching it since it happened. I think that is the worst penalty call I've ever seen in my life. The Jonas Brodin.
Be more specific, because there's multiple. Let's be clear. I am not a side with the fans and blame the refs for everything, because I think some fans are insufferable with how mad they get about reffing. This is the first time where I'm just shutting up and letting them go because they've got a good case. Like, it's been brutal, dude. Brutal.
I'm not kidding. I will tell my grandchildren or someone else. I'm not going to have. Who am I kidding? Someone else's grandkids. I'm going to tell them about it.
Dude, you're going to tell the fucking dog at the bar.
Yeah. Like, did you see that fucking that was, I'm not kidding. I think it is the worst call I have ever seen in my life. I don't even know. I figured it out eventually, like a day and a half later. I was like, I think what the ref thinks, what he thought that he saw was like Brodin like bracing for the hit, like someone normally does when someone comes to hit them.
No.
And like his leg was there.
I disagree. He
don't know what he thought.
He saw the sell job from the other player. Like, he threw his head back so hard, and with the right angle, like you could see where he'd think that maybe Brodin hit him, but it was just like.
But even that doesn't make sense. How do you land on tripping?
The tripping call makes no sense. I'm just saying, like, that was more like a bumblefuck. He's like, I know something bad happened. Trip.
I mean, it is. I could not believe it. And I was actually even laughing at like LaPanta when he was doing like they watched the replay. And I think LaPanta just goes, am I seeing something else? It was very funny. It was like, I could not believe
am I seeing
that the one that ended it up in the box was fucking Jonas Brodin. I'm not kidding. That was absolutely the worst call I think I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was crazy. That being said, I still am not going to be like, oh, someone was like, that's why a lot of people were like, that's why they lost. I'm like,
there's
no,
a
that's
lot
not
of
why
reasons.
they fucking lost. I mean, you can't just continually just give up the lead. Like, you just can't do that. And then I also had Seattle fans be like, what about like, you're an idiot. What about the clear trip? Also, he kicked him in the face. I was like, he was falling down. He didn't kick him in the face, dude. It's crazy. But all that to say, they look fine. Like, I have had a lot of people reply any video that I put out. So, like, there's been plenty of people being like, they should have lost by 10. And I was like, what? They were like, bad line changes, bad roster. And I was like, line changes?
No, hang on. Bad line changes. Completely agree. It's actually going to be the plague of this team all year. If you can't figure out your line changes, you are done. That's the funniest one for me. That's really funny.
I was sitting there like, what is he? what are you talking about? I had 2 people do it. I was like, if there was one guy, wouldn't even mention it other than being like, that's objectively hilarious. That like
we don't have Darby working the game.
I was like,
that's weird. I will say though, looked fine, sure. Not having Eck Spurgeon for any amount of time is very, very concerning.
Yeah, so that's where I was going. Next was the one thing that we said. Okay, good.
Very.
Oh yeah, very. Very, very. The one thing, or well, one of the things that we said, if they want to have a successful season, make the playoffs, injuries were going to play a big role, and they've got 2 big ones. Joel Eriksson, Eck Spurgeon. Hopefully, I don't know anything about how long term it is. X nose on that elbow was, I mean, it was pointed the other way. Because I needed to get the video for Russo. And I slowed it down when I took the video. I was like, oh my God. When he took his glove away in the replay, his nose was like, over here, dude. But I was like, oh, fuck.
The worst part of that whole ordeal is that they made him come back out just to play 1 shift and then be done for the game. And they made him wear a fucking fishbowl. And he'll never be able to get past that.
It made him sick. It made him sick to his stomach, most likely.
Fishbowls are terrible. I'm sorry. I'll never. No.
Yeah, you just go full. I mean, if you have to do it, go cage.
Yeah, go cage. That's fine.
Yeah, fair enough. And the Spurgeon thing makes me nervous because unless I'm just not thinking of it, like I don't recall like any. So that's bad. Bad.
And I think some fans,
because before that he was looking so good, and it was like, I am so happy watching Jared Spurgeon play hockey again. I don't recall any big hit or any play where he like limped off or whatever. Yeah. So like that's when you're sitting there like, it's been a couple years now of these lingering injuries. He's got a bunch of time left on that contract. He's
it's not even
it makes me nervous.
Fuck lingering injuries. He just had like 2 of the scariest surgeries in the same offseason. And I think half the fan base is like keenly aware that this is bad. I think the other half is like, oh, like I didn't see anything happen, so maybe he just lightly tweaked something. It's all good. Like this is ideal. Like, no, like he is. I'm scared. Is this the end of Jared Spurgeon? Like I hope not, but I am very worried about that situation. Eck, I'm sure like he'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
And he'll keep doing the nonsense that he does, and we'll love him for it. But dude, Spurgeon is very, very concerning for me. Let's flip it to where we're not concerned. There's 2 names at the top of my list. I'm assuming they're the same 2 that you have. Who would your top 2 players be right now?
I mean, how long do we want to talk about Matt Boldy?
Forever.
Who's
the other player? Who's the other player?
Gustafson.
Okay, we're on the same page. Continue.
Yeah. Matt Boldy. So, like, again, it was funny. I do not pay attention to very many athletic writers at this point, other than Russo, to be honest. And your boy in Pittsburgh. Oh my God.
Ouch.
Oh my God. Why am I?
When you said my boy, I thought you were going a different direction there.
Well, and your boy Joe. There. Now I'm turning.
You said Russo and your boy in Pittsburgh, so I don't know. That sounded pretty exclusive.
Either way, doesn't matter. Yeah.
You're a Jesse Marshall follower?
I love when he goes on podcasts. I love listening to those, and then I love just like his
articles. Rock.
Yeah, his like deep dive breakdowns. I think are fucking incredible.
I love though, like he explains it really well, but I just truly appreciate that he does better than anyone. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to talk about. I'm then going to explain it, and then I'm going to show you a video that brings it full circle. Like he doesn't just like tell it and hope you understand it. Like he spoon feeds it slowly so that anyone can get it. And even someone like you and I, who like, we know what we're watching and what we're reading, we still like, it's not over the top where it's like, oh God, I know this, fuck off. Like, no, like he does it so well. He is, and granted, like we've had Russo in Minnesota forever. Joe's a new addition, but I signed up for The Athletic because Jesse Marshall joined it. That is why I signed up for a subscription however many years ago it was.
Yeah, no, A plus writer, one of the best in the business for sure. But like, I went back recently and I was just like going through like just out of curiosity, like the predictions in the offseason, whenever. It's been a pretty wide range of opinions that like Boldy was poised for like a big year. Like I thought people just weren't paying attention at all. Pretty much everywhere you look, like feel like Boldy might go off this year. He looks like he is poised to do that. In the past, he's had a couple slow starts, which always hurts, but like this year specifically, he looks like he's on a mission every single time he hops over the boards. The fact that not only does he have that ridiculous offense, he is so fucking good as a two-way forward. Mm-hmm. Like, he is one of the better all-around players in the NHL. Like, you can put him on the ice in any situation. And again, like, when he got hurt, it was like in the preseason, it was like half panic-inducing because it was like, well, that was a big reason we thought the PK was going to be a little bit better. It was like, God damn it, he was going to be a big part of that. PK still stinks, by the way. So that's good. We could bring us down a little bit here more.
I mean, you could also argue that Spurgeon's act would help that quite a bit.
Yeah, that would help. But Boldy right now, he gives you something in all three zones, any situation. He looks like, assuming health, which I mean, we have to fucking knock on wood, like cross our, like, I mean, at this point, I am desperate for 80% health for the roster, like in general. Like, I just don't know what to do anymore about how many fucking injuries they get every year. But like, if he stays mostly healthy, I'm not even gonna say fully healthy because that's just a fucking, you're just asking for bad karma. He looks like he might be a 90-point guy, regardless of who his line mates are. And by the way, he has had a couple very funny whiffs, but Marcus Johansson looks good. I think he looks good. Again, one of the things that he does really well when he's on it is just the transition, carrying the puck through the neutral zone and getting you a clean zone entry. He is such a fucking good skater. And when he can get them an easy zone entry, like there were a couple in the preseason and in the first two games where he was just floating through multiple defenders and establishing possession in the offensive zone and getting that cycle going. Like, he is a huge part of that. So yes, he's had a couple of very funny whiffs. Like, it was like 2 back-to-back. I think it was the first game. But he looks good too. So hopefully Eriksson can come back the next game or two here, which, I mean, fortunately and unfortunately, like a broken nose, like a broken bone's better than like whatever Spurgeon's dealing with, like a long-term lingering thing. Like any structural stuff, like, all right, that's better because you heal. But hopefully once Eriksson comes back, they can just pick up where he left off because they look very good as a line.
If Eck ever gets his jaw wired shut, will you change your profile picture?
I don't know. No, I can't. I don't think I can. I mean,
you probably can't. People still think that's what you look like, so we got to stick with it.
People still think it's spooked, so I mean, it's crazy.
That's only some. You made that very clear at Tom Reed's when you accosted everyone, but
hey, motherfucker, read this.
Fuck. Bill Guerin said before the season, do you recall what his moonshot was for Boldy?
Did he say 100?
50 and 50.
Yeah.
He's pacing right now for 55 and 82.
Feels likely. Feels likely.
Watch.
No, but he looks so
Guerin. It would be so funny if Bill Guerin was like on Twitter and like was victory lapping right now. Like,
I think he said he has a burner.
Dude, especially with how many fans though would like be like just commenting like, dude, what's with the 4x4 no moves, whatever. He's just like, yeah, I told you fuckers.
He did say that he does have a burner. Like, I know he has a burner.
Yeah, but that's not the same as if it was like, this is Bill Guerin and I am victory lapping on my Matt Boldy call.
Just that's openly engaging with fucking every fucking fan.
Honestly, if there's a GM
Zero
that would
followers
do that, it's probably
following
him.
40. Yeah, I mean, yes, absolutely. That's why I love Bill Garrett. He's the best. But yeah, and then Phil Gustafson, both games that he's played so far, he is looking. I think he's at a 199 and a 947 the first two games. Making
the amount of fans that were
saves.
Offended that he wasn't traded this summer. Again, I want him to be here to go 50-50 next year with Wallstedt. Like, I don't know how we get from here to there because it's going to be very weird at the goalie carousel because I know they want to get Wallstedt more reps. Do you think we can talk Fleury into a trade?
We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that.
No, Gustafson has delivered, and it is very early, but can't be upset with the return so far.
Again, realistically, anyone that was taking the reasonable approach or take on Gustafson, he was somewhere in between the 1 year that he really went all the way off 2 years ago and last year. He's somewhere in the probably closer towards when he was solid.
Yeah.
That was the reasonable take. Anyone that was I knew it and was celebrating when he was just a sieve. It was this is a very weird strategy for fandom, but go off. I don't really care. People can be a fan how they want to be a fan, but the reasonable thing was he was somewhere closer to that, but it's in the middle. He's not going to have a career 940, 1.6 goals against. He's great.
What was really weird for me, and again, it's skewed a little bit because I have several adult beverages and I'm at the game, but game one, if I told you to pick two lines that you were very confident in what they were going to do coming into game one of the season, which two would you have picked?
2 and 1, really, probably.
1 and 3 for me, and those two were the ones that were kind of concerning in game one, and 2 torched. 2 was the one I was very what's going to happen with? Is Johansson going to work? Is it going to be for Boldy and act to not be with, Kaprizov? And
that's my JoJo bias. That's my JoJo bias. I love that man. So
it's really fun that's your brand because you are the only there's plenty of Wild fans that don't hate him the greater fan base does, but you are the only one that outright supports him. But I take that back. There's one other one.
There's one other one, yeah. One more prominent one that you can't not listen to if you listen to the game in Minnesota with volume.
We will start a new podcast just called The JoJos with you and LaPanta.
Yeah, it's us for 3 hours every day.
But really, that isn't what we're going to get viewers from. What we're going to get viewers from is having a little segment where we literally just throw Russo on the screen and have him listen and just break shit.
On mute as he's screaming.
On mute.
He's not allowed. It's literally just a picture of he's just going nuts.
It's the scene from Always Sunny where they're trying to be rock and roll guys. So then they just go and get a hotel room and start breaking shit. And Frank's like, why don't you guys get him to let you in here without putting down a credit card? They're like, we took the one out of your wallet. What are you talking about?
But I mean, yeah, no, again, and not that this even needs to be explained, but my JoJo bias is heavy on the fact that I was really hoping they'd trade for him in 2019 here in Boston. And then they got him before the deadline, immediately became best buddies with Marchand after Marchand pretty much fucked his whole career up with that elbow, the little flying elbow that gave him a horrific concussion the year before. And then in the playoffs, him, Coyle, and Heinen were the reason they went to the Cup plus Tuukka. So that's where my bias comes from. He was so fucking good that playoff. Oh my god.
Would you agree though?
We can move on.
I think the toughest thing with Johansson though, and it's different than other stops in his career, just the way the team is built. Most of his career, he's been your go-to 3C or third line winger, right?
Winger, yeah.
He was center for a while.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's not important. That's irrelevant. Now in Minnesota, it's pretty much he needs to fit on the second line or he doesn't have a spot. like you're not putting him on your third or fourth line here based on the makeup of the team, which players you have. Like he's just not going to be a better option on either of those lines than the guys you have there. It's like he needs to work on the second line or he's in the press box, right?
Minnesota's just off the top of my head, probably the first team that he's been on in his career where like all four lines are demonstrably different. So whatever line you're on, you have to fill like one, maybe two specific roles and things that you do. Like all four lines are way different in Minnesota. Like, and still at their best, they're rolling four, but like four very, very different lines. So it's he has to fill a specific role, which realistically in his role now, it's get those zone entries and just facilitate, use your leg and just move. It's like just keep the puck moving, get into the offensive zone, establish possession, and play some decent two-way hockey. It's fine.
Yep. The two guys then that I need to get opinions on, and we can move on to Judd'z Budz. Trenin, how do we feel?
I have fine. I mean,
he seems to be the target for the fan base right now.
Yeah, that's what happens when they make one like real signing for more. That's not like a two-way or like a league min or whatever. And it's like the attention gets heightened when it's like everyone knows the reason that he was brought in was to be a big help on the PK. And I think their PK is ticking at 57%. But again, like you said too before, like they didn't have Eriksson or Spurgeon last game. I mean, I think it was still only 2-1 loss, so it shouldn't really be that bad still. But I think he's just still trying to find his legs and like figure out exactly what his role is or what they really want to do. I mean, they've gone back and forth too with like Rossi and Hartman as a center, which like if those two are centers, your line's doing different things. Like I don't know, I'm not worried at all. Like I think it's crazy when it's like, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know why I get surprised by anything anymore. The reactions. I mean, yeah, he has not been noticeable for good reasons.
I'm not overreacting, but you can objectively say he hasn't been great, right?
Yeah.
Like it's way too early to make a judgment on a player that just got brought in.
Right.
I understand why fans want to make him the target.
Yeah.
But like, let's give him the month of October, and if he still looks like he does now, I'm totally on board with the fan criticism. That's fair, but it's been 3 games. Things have shuffled. It is what it is. But you brought up the other guy that we got to talk about, Marco Rossi.
I love Marco Rossi, dude. I mean, it's
never heard of her.
Never heard of her. I love the fact that whatever role he's been asked to play, he's at least filling it to like satisfactory expectations. I think 3 games, he got 3 assists so far. There's a few shifts where like maybe he has like a turnover, whatever, misses a chance, something, but he always bounces back and responds. And overall, by the end of the game, he's filled a role, played like fine. And like last year, he had more goals and assists by 1. But you know, you want like if you're gonna assume that he's going to be a big point producer at some point in his career, like it's always tough when you're like a middle 6 guy with more goals or whatever than assists. But like I just like that he's been super versatile so far. Even like last year, like we said, like he was producing goals and some assists in different roles, different lines, and he was kind of just doing what Marco Rossi does and is just being a good hockey player. So I've liked his game so far. Again, there's a bunch of shifts where maybe he's not super noticeable, but every once in a while he comes up with a big play. And again, you need 3 games, 3 assists. So
yeah, this is where I wish I was maybe a little bit better at articulating what I'm seeing on the ice, but the simplest way for me to put it, he looks so much more confident and more comfortable than he did last year. Like, don't get me wrong, there were times last year where he was good, but last year it felt like he was fighting it and like he knew he had to prove that he like deserved keeping. This year, he seems like he's playing more free and like he knows he's doing the thing out there. And like you said, like there's definitely spots where he's making mistakes. He's not playing flawless hockey, but he's not letting it fuck up his psyche, and he's going out there and he's still doing the thing. I think largely he's looked great. There's missed opportunities. There's spots where you wish he'd either like be more physical or do something different, but like he looks the part. And I think if he gets extended runway with that, you know, Kaprizov Zuccarello line, like that could be a very, very efficient line. It's just, are they going to let him stay there long enough, or are they going to do the rotating chairs with him and Hartman all year and make them both worse for it? That's what I hope doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. Wherever you're going to put him, first or third line, at this point, I don't care. I think he'll do well on both. Make a fucking decision.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like when you look at last year with him, it was almost like he was like constantly in like fight or flight mode, where it's like every time he stepped over the boards, he knew he needed to make something happen and like make a difference somehow, and was just like trying super. And like it's like you said, it's like hard to like put it accurately like in words or whatever, but like he just looks like he knows that he belongs, and then he can fill whatever role they're asking him to play. So he just looked, again, it's the confidence thing. He knows he belongs. So I think if he gets that longer runway playing with Kaprizov and Zuccarello, I think like 10, 15, 20 games in, they might be firing on all cylinders. Because again, one of the best characteristics for Marco Rossi is how smart he is as a hockey player. So again, hopefully if they can get some consistency with like line mates, that's going to make a huge difference for him, but also make a huge difference for Hartman, where like, you know exactly what the identity of that third line is. If it's Foligno, Hartman, and Trenin out there, like they know what their role is. Marco Rossi, you're probably like leaning on more like offense there, probably a little bit, at least like young skill guy or whatever. Hartman, it's like, yeah, I have some offensive touch. Realistically, all three of them do, but like the main, like what we're rolling you three out there for is just maximum chaos. So, yeah. But yeah, no, I hope for both him and Hartman's sake that they just give some longer runway to the line makeup.
With you.